Sean Payton made a questionable call going for it on 4th and 1 in the first half of the AFC Championship game. Do you think NFL coaches have gone overboard in going for it on 4th down too much?
Yes, they have. And I think we are relying too much on analytics. I'm not going to sit here and say analytics shouldn't play a part of it, but I also think, especially in the game of football, there is a feel for the game. There needs to be an awareness of the personnel that you have, the injuries that you have. I've always thought that Sean Payton had that gut feeling, when to go for it, when not to go for it. And I think we have shifted. And we do this in football. We do this in sports where you overcompensate and you do things, and then water finds its level and you come back to. And I think in the next couple of years we will see more field goals. We'll see more, and every drive should end in points. And I understand trying to steal 7 if you're in a position and you know that, hey, we're not going to be here a lot. Maybe we got a chance right here. I don't care if it's 4th and 1, if it's 4th and 10. There are times where you just need to take the points. And I thought that this past weekend was one of those for the Broncos.
I think we got to stop saying it's analytics whenever we don't like a decision and just frame it as they're using the most information to make the best decision possible. And while Peyton's getting killed, I think he made the best decision possible. Those were the best conditions of the day. It's a yard. You need more than 10 to win. They didn't execute. So blame analytics? No, blame the fact that they couldn't block either A-gap. And Sean McVay's the other guy getting killed. They needed a touchdown. There's 5 minutes to go. It's 4th and 4. I got the MVP quarterback.
Where he screwed up was not going for 2 on their last touchdown.
Right.
That's where he screwed up.
Should have been more aggressive.
Yes, exactly. I'll say this. I think the fact that it was Jarrett Stidham is why you should have taken the points. And that analytics don't recognize whether it's Nix or Stidham. Analytics just spits out the information and says, go for it.
Right. And if you're defending the Broncos, do you think they're actually going to put Jarrett Stidham in a position to pass? No. So you load up on the run. Well,
that's why they didn't play action.
We've lost situational awareness in football.
Yeah, and I the only defense of Payton for me in that I do think he was kind of thinking kill shot with a touchdown. That he really puts the Patriots in a bad position if they put up 7 there. All right, this one could probably annoy a lot of people out there, but I do that sometimes. The Matthew Stafford trade turns 5 years old tomorrow. I want you both to be creative. If the Lions never traded Stafford, how would the last 5 years have played out?
So they still get Sewell and St. Brown in that first draft, but they don't get the extra firsts.
Joseph, too.
Yeah, and Kirby. They don't get J-Mo. They don't get Gibbs. So it's the same Stafford, one receiver, no elite run game. I don't think they win back-to-back divisions. They don't win 2 playoff games. I think we're having the same conversations we were having. Stafford's a loser. Coaches are on a hot seat. We're in limbo. I think it's the same conversations we had for his entire career here. And he doesn't shed the losing label either. So it's better for everybody that the deal happened.
Right. So the players that you got from the trade were Ife Melifonwu. Okay. No impact. J-Mo, as you mentioned, Gibbs, and Laporta.
Yeah.
That was part of that trade down. And I agree with you. I don't think I think we're talking about 9, 10-win seasons. You're not talking about division titles, and then you get into the postseason. And maybe you do have a playoff win because you still have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Your offensive line is going to be better because of Sewell. But what have we seen from Brad Holmes in regards to being able to, get in free agency players or in trades, acquiring players? That's not his strong suit. His strong suit's the draft. You take away those draft picks, and this is not the same team.
Here's the other thing. With Stafford, I don't think they're bad enough to draft Aiden Hutchinson. Oh, so you don't have Aiden either.
Probably.
The most direct line you can draw is that they wouldn't have Hutch. But that still doesn't mean that I don't think they would have been competitive. I'd have loved to see Matthew Stafford have that running game. And I know you said you couldn't get Gibbs. BS. You could have traded up the second Bijan went off the board and made that move. You would have had still some different type of capital.
Yeah, maybe you don't have Branch now because you had to give up more to move up.
Right, but you still have a similar defense that hasn't been able to.
Could have spent money in free agency to do defense.
Okay, have they? That's not been
because
something
they spend
that
it all on their
Holmes
offense. That's all they care about. That's a topic for a different day, right? All right, Seattle general manager John Schneider is getting massive praise for what he's done with the Seahawks. I want you to rank your top 5 GMs in the NFL.
I think we could probably, the top of this will be very similar. That is, number one, Howie Roseman. Number two, Les Snead with the Rams. And this may be where we start to differ, but I think we'll probably have similar ones in 3, 4, and 5. John Snyder with the Seahawks for what he's been able to do. John Lynch with the Niners. Now, not a great draft with going after the quarterback. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
Trey Lance.
But to be able to make up for
with Purdy.
Yeah, with Purdy, and I mean, hey, they're still competitive. They got banged up this year. And number 5 for me is Brett Veach with the Chiefs, and that is more being able to manage the cap, move things around, and obviously they've been Super Bowl. But the GM that drafted Patrick Mahomes was John Dorsey, and he's actually an advisor here in Detroit now.
No Brad Holmes in your top 5?
No.
I didn't have him in my top 5 either. Look, 2 playoff wins doesn't put you in the top 5. We can really zoom out and say, they have so much more to prove. The easy part's done. They had their top picks. Now the cap tightens. Now we find out what Brad Holmes is really made of. John, I had the same 5 names. I had Howie Roseman 1. I put Veach 2nd, John Snyder 3rd, Les Snead 4th, and John Lynch 5th. But okay. It's the same 5 guys.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, Holmes would have been in those top 5s probably last year. So, again, the honeymoon is over. Several NFL coaching vacancies have already been filled. This is kind of an evil question. Which one's going to be fired first?
Todd Monken. Come on, the Cleveland coach is easy. You hire a guy that nobody else was going to hire. You hire him because you have infighting and can't find a good candidate. Who's his quarterback? Are you keeping Jim Schwartz? It doesn't sound like you're keeping Jim Schwartz. I think the easy answer is Todd Monken.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Jim Schwartz's exit looks like from Cleveland because he's still under contract. They haven't fired him. And so what are they going to hold on to him and wait for him to be traded?
He was reportedly very unhappy and stormed out of there yesterday.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think he's coming back.
No, I don't think he's coming back, but it's going to be interesting to see how that works itself out. I think it's Jeff Hafley in Miami. And it's because of the albatross that is the Tua contract. He's not an offensive guy, and yet he does have some weapons offensively. I think down in Miami, like they are an absolute dumpster fire.
And think about it, in the division with Patriots and Bills twice a year.
And here's the other thing about Cleveland and Monken. Do I think he's the ultimate answer? No, he's probably a placeholder until they get their albatross gone in Deshaun Watson. But if your quarterback is a mobile quarterback and you're coming from having, there's no one there like Lamar Jackson, but Shedeur, he's got an offense ready to plug in.
And he's a Pro Bowler, so you got something to work with.
Stop it.
I like your Hafley pick because of Stephen Ross and the potential of going after Mike Tomlin after just one season.
Yeah.
Could be quite appealing down there. And if some other big names open up too, I think Stephen Ross gets in play. All right, Bill Belichick will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Over the last 24 hours, many reasons have been bannered about as to why he didn't get in on the first try. Is Belichick catching strays because of how ugly his career has been when Tom Brady isn't his quarterback?
He shouldn't be. I mean, he won 6 Super Bowls as the coach and / general manager. He's also got 2 other rings as a coordinator. That also plays into him getting in as a coach. He's got 8 Super Bowl rings. Sure, a large part of it has to do with the fact that he had Tom Brady, but he's also the guy that brought Tom Brady in. Now, he wasn't anticipating Tom was going to be the greatest quarterback of all time, but he did bring him in.
Look, 6 Super Bowls. The first 3 were significantly influenced by his defense. He had a top 10 defense every time they won a Super Bowl. Tom benefited from a top 10 defense, just like any great quarterback would. But he should not have a stain on his resume because Brady left and won a Super Bowl, and right. He wasn't able to do it without him.
And Tom's last Super Bowl, what did he benefit from?
A great defense.
A great defense in Tampa.
Daniel Jeremiah has the Lions drafting edge rusher Hakeem Messidor out of Miami. CBS Sports has the Lions drafting offensive tackle Monroe Freeling out of Georgia. Which mock draft pick do you prefer right now?
If Decker is definitely back, I would take Messidor. If Decker's not back via retirement or team decision, hey, we're cutting you, I'm taking a tackle.
So I took this as I get a chance to look at all mock drafts, and I picked the one that works best for me. The question I have about Messidor is, Messidor, wasn't he in college for 6 years? And if you were that good to be a first-round pick, wouldn't you have come out earlier And I know there's some injuries and stuff there. I just don't
but
know.
His profile, he's moved around the defense. He's gained weight. He's a disruptor.
Yeah,
he can play multiple spots.
I'm just not on the Messidor train.
Okay.
And so I would go offensive tackle or guard. And I took Mel Kiper's one that we talked about last week, that guard from Penn State, Vega.
I used my own mock and took Maui Noah.
I asked you to pick between the two mocks. You just pulled a Stoney. All right,
So
finally.
you should have said from these two mocks, which one are you going to pick?
You knew what he meant.
We
Keep
try
going.
to keep them concise.
Keep going.
I'm a big Caleb Downs fan, despite him being a Buckeye. In fact, I believe he's the best player in the NFL draft. Who do you guys think's the best player in the draft?
Most people do believe that Caleb Downs is the best player in the draft. I actually think that the guy that you just mentioned, Francis Maui Noah, is the best player in the draft. I think it's not going to be a sexy pick for anyone that gets him, but he's a guy that's going to be plugged in, and hey, for 10 years, you're going to be talking about him as a Pro Bowl offensive tackle.
Really like him. Big, mauler in the run game.
And he's
Good feet.
athletic.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. I'll throw out another name. How about Downs' teammate, Arvil Reese?
Okay.
A player you could deploy all over the front seven, explosive, twitchy, only 20 years old. Feels like that's a guy who could leave this draft and be the best player out of it.
I wish the Lions were in a situation where they could actually move up to try to get Downs. Downs has been projected at like 10 to the Bengals a lot. I don't think he lasts that long.
No,
but
I don't think he does either. And it would. I mean, Brad Holmes moves around in the draft. He's got 13 draft day trades.
the problem is the offensive line need is so huge or edge that, you know, it just would be. I could live in a world where they would just let Branch come back healthy next year when he's ready and let him walk if you had Caleb Downs in the pipeline. Yeah. That's kind of just a dream scenario.
And talking about teammates, since you brought up a Buckeye teammate, I'll bring up Maui Noah's teammate, Reuben Bain Jr. I think would be a tremendous add on the edge.
You know what he is? He's a guy that I don't think the measurements are going to do him any favors at the combine. Put the tape on. Watch a guy play football. Yeah. That's your Thursday touchdown. It's 97-1.